There's no way DeAndre Ayton comes to San Antonio unless he knows Gregg Popovich is going to be here for at least most of the contract.
Are you serious?
I wouldn't come. Would you? You're gonna sign me for all this money, and I don't know who's going to coach me?
I think the exact opposite. I think the free agent comes because Pop is leaving.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
If the Spurs said, "Hey, Quinn Snyder is our guy, and we're gonna evolve to him," and they tell a free agent that this is what the game plan is going to be, I think that would be better. Because do you think players right now want to be coached by a 76, 77, 78-year-old Gregg Popovich?
Absolutely, I do. I think you're crazy if you think other. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No way. We can
find a man. You're talking about the legendary great. If that's a statement that makes zero sense, Mike. 0 cents. Now you can blame the market. You can blame the area, the hinterlands that we are. You cannot blame the coach.
I am saying that the free agents may not want to play in that type of system.
What type of system?
Because we have a break coming up.
Yes, we do.
Now,
I know we're going to do this. Because I'm not going to allow you to denigrate the greatest coach to walk the sidelines in the history of the NBA just because he's old and he's had a couple of bad years.
Okay,
it's Jimmy's and Joe's. It ain't X's and O's, Mike.
Well, the fact of the matter is that right now Gregg Popovich is 55 years older than all these players he's going to be drafting in 2 weeks, or Brian Wright will be drafting. Okay. Mm-hmm. The game changes, the game evolves, and a player will get better playing for a coach that they better identify with. Now, Gregg Popovich has been amazing for these players. Tim Duncan has said that. Manu has said that. Tony Parker has said that. But those guys are now in their mid-40s, for crying out loud. It is different. The game has changed. It's positionless basketball. And right now, the Spurs have had 3 years in a row of losing records.
Yes.
And what I fear is that Pop is going to retire after 5 championships and 5 losing records in a row. The Spurs need new blood. The Spurs need new blood on the court. They need new blood on the sidelines as well.
656-3776, 656 ESPN. We kind of hear from you. The line in the sand is drawn.
Woo!
Welcome back to halftime. We're more than halfway through it. Now on 94.1 FM, the requests continues. As he is Mike Jimenez, I'm Rob Thompson. Edward Hefner taking us all the way to 1 o'clock. As we have, blown up our wattage, we're at 94.1 now. Hopefully you've got it tuned in, locked in, and keep it there. As you drive around our great city, those of you guys that are gigging, Amazon, and whatever you might be, if you're someplace where you can hear us now where you didn't used to hear us, do us a favor. Give us a call. The Kielbasa Bacon phone line, 656-3776, 656 ESPN. Put it out on the socials. Tweet at me at Rob Thompson ESPN or at Mike ESPN SA or at SA Sports Star. Tell us where you are. We're trying to build a map of our coverage, and we want to see how far in every direction we can go. And I've had calls in from Utopia, north of San Marcos, east of Seguin, well past Hondo. We want to know where you are so we can build our coverage map. It's kind of a personal thing. And what you don't have to come on air, just let us know so we can continue to improve our service to you, our fine listeners. And with that in mind, let's get into something that we started at the break. Mike contends, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That no great free agent will come to San Antonio because Pop is a coach that is imminent to leave, 1, and 2, because he is of an age the game itself has passed him by. Is that where you're going to stand?
Facts times 2.
Facts. Okay. So we talk about positionless basketball.
One thing I want to add real fast.
Okay. Let's add a caveat, maybe.
Not even a caveat. Okay. I think the Spurs need to show a free agent an order of succession.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
So that's part of it.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that I'm not coming here for any more than 3 years, no matter what. And if I'm even going to be here for 3, I need to know that 1, Pop's going to be here for all, unless, of course, emergencies and things like that. And if he is going to be leaving, I need to have a pretty good idea which way you're going, what your direction is. You don't have to tell me the coach, but you can tell me your plan because you don't even know what your coach might be. I agree with that. But I'm going to stand on the premise that the reason free agents don't come to San Antonio, 1, if you're chasing superstars, that's one thing. They've got choices, and we're limited because of our market. I do think that despite the fact that because of socials and all that, it doesn't matter where you play. You can still be world famous and make all the money you can, even playing out Oklahoma City. That doesn't matter where you live in. So I don't think that's a problem. I think that it's not about Pop, it's about San Antonio. My justification is this. DeMar DeRozan this year was no better than he was with San Antonio. He was asked to do some different things, but he was no better. In fact, he was better for leaving. I bet if you ask him, he is. But the only thing that was different between here and Chicago was he was in the news and the team was winning. And he suddenly went back up into the top 50 or whatever, where he should be, instead of being listed at number 75 as the top 100 players in the league or whatever he was left. The reason players don't come here is they feel like they're going to be left out. And it's not because of Pop. It's because of the franchise's lockdown mentality. You don't get to do a lot of stuff that you get to do other places. You don't get a podcast. You don't get a regular radio gig. You don't get to go on to ESPN on the weekly when you're not playing. You are a Spur. You're not expected or allowed to speak out of sorts. You're not allowed to have a podcast. I think that's more of a detriment, a huge, much bigger detriment, pardon my English, than Pop.
Thank you for proving my point. Because where do you think that all starts from?
Oh, it does come from Pop, but it's not about what's on the court, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to question the X's and O's and the mentality. In fact, I think that this year's NBA playoffs have proven Pop's belief in his system is the correct one to have if you want to win champions. If you want to be a champion, you sacrifice some regular season games to have the kind of team that wins playoff basketball. And once you get to the playoffs and have been there consistent, you realize it is a completely different game than the game that you played in February. It's different. It's faster. The calls are different. The reffing is different. The energy is different. It is a different basketball game. Pop realized that in 1999. And from that point on, decided regular season be damned. 50 wins, I don't give a crap about that. How good will my team be in June? And can I play June basketball? And to the detriment, when you play that style, you're going to lose regular season games. You're going to lose some games in the regular season that most coaches would have done something to win, because that's all they can hang their hat on. Pop doesn't need to worry about regular season anymore. He coaches for June.
Yes, but we don't have a team that can
but
go
eventually
to May,
those guys will
June.
be in June, is what I'm saying.
No, they won't. This team
will be a June team if they keep it together for 4 more years. If they just draft appropriately, there's enough there to get to June, but early June.
What team are you watching,
The
dude?
same team that you watched.
The same 33, 34 win team.
With
really?
22-year-old starters and injuries through the wazoo and mistakes that we're having to live up to. The Kawhi debacle derailed this franchise for 3 years.
I will agree with that. But here's the thing.
That was not their making.
Here's the thing. These players that you're so enamored by
I didn't say I'm enamored. I'm saying this is the team we've got. We've got one all-star and we've got 2 that are on their way.
Okay, so Devin Vassell did not get onto the court because Pop brought him up. He got on the court
because
more
of an injury. Than any sophomore has in the history of this league.
Because of an injury.
Well, he did.
Because of an injury.
Well, you can't qualify
Keldon Johnson, because of an injury. Gregg Popovich has refused to play these players. He was what?
Do you realize what you're saying?
Forbes?
Do you honestly realize?
I was watching these games too. I was at these games too. Dude, he relied on veterans so much. And he did not play Devin Vassell until he was forced to. He was not playing Keldon Johnson until he was forced to.
He started. What are you talking about?
Started when? After the bubble? After he was forced to go in there because of injuries? Dude, I'm sorry. Pop has a history of not playing the best players out there and relying too much on veterans. Now, this was the past
Pop has
season.
A history of not playing the best players. 6'5", 3'7", 6.
This past year, though, Pop did do something different. He played Primo. Okay, and Primo was the youngest player in the NBA, and it was the first time in the 25 years that Pop was on the bench coaching this team that he played a rookie that young, that many minutes, and relied on that player.
You could argue it was a mistake, actually.
Well, I don't think it was a mistake.
No, it wasn't.
I liked what Primo brought to the table.
You could argue it went to the detriment of the team. I agree that the system doesn't feel right, but he knows more than most that what happens in June matters far more than what happens in February. And we lose games. You're right. He punts games.
This is why I had that whole article about how Chris Paul has nothing compared to Tony Parker, because again, legends are made in May and June. Right. So who cares if Chris Paul is doing 12, 13 assists a game in November, right? Who cares? But the thing about it is that so much can change. And I have so much faith now in Brian Wright. I am now team Brian Wright when it comes to things because of all the trades that he was able to do. The Spurs can pivot in so many different directions this year when it comes to the salary cap space, when it comes to what they can do with the draft capital that they own. They're the opposite of the LA Lakers. The LA Lakers have no draft picks and are in just salary cap hell right now. So the Spurs can turn on a dime. The Spurs could get a DeAndre Ayton, can go off and get another a different type of free agent out there, maybe a collection of free agents. The Spurs can move up in the draft, can move down in the draft. So much can happen. It begins in 2 weeks. But what I'm saying here is that I am ready to move on from Pop. I've been ready for 2 years. And I understand that he reserves the right to be here as long as he wants. I get that. If he wants to be 84 years old, they're not going to do something. If he's going to Tony La Russa this place, I understand that he reserves that right. Okay. But I'm taking a look at who we've lost over the past 10 years. Ime Udoka, Monty Williams.
Yeah, it hurts.
We lost Budenholzer. We lost Presti. We've lost so many. We lost Snyder.
Brett Brown.
Brett Brown. We've lost so many minds. What I don't want is for Pop to leave and go, oh, Becky Hammond. Pop to leave and then all of a sudden be like, we have nothing left behind him.
I agree with that. I hate the fact that Ime Udoka has been so successful, and 3 years ago he was interviewing elsewhere and we did nothing.
I was having a good day.
I had nothing to keep him.